Okay. Bobby in Australia, who runs our radio station there on Highway 8 in New Zealand, she says that the Chinese have major interest in Australian gold mines and have been harvesting the gold from the Australian mines for years, but it appears that the Australian newspapers are shunning away from even letting the Australians know. What kind of effect will this happen if the Chinese continue to harvest the gold and just send it back into China?
Well, the first effect it will be they'll be able to dump dollars. Number two, they'll probably make a lot of money. And they can't go in the market and voraciously buy gold, nor can they go into the market and aggressively sell dollars either. Because don't forget, if they drive the dollar down, their dollars are worth less. So they have to be very artful about what they're doing. Quite frankly, they haven't been that artful. They should have bought a lot more gold than they did. And I think keeping it a secret was part of the reason that they didn't more aggressively pursue gold. I think they've been given a song and dance by the elitists who control the U.S. government. And you know, this weekend, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner is going to be over in Beijing, and they're going to be talking about the U.S. dollar and so on. And, you know, China has said they're fed up and that, you know, you shouldn't be printing more dollars, increasing your money supply. You shouldn't be keeping interest rates so low. And of course, if they didn't, the economy would collapse. It's going to do that eventually. But this is the way they've chosen to go with it. And, you know, the other side of that is the Chinese for years tried to get into the American market. Finally, they were approved, I think it was in 1995 or somewhere around there, to be a member of the World Trade Organization. And then they were allowed to ship throughout the world, export throughout the world. And they have manipulated their currency like almost every other country has, except the U.S., and they have effectively taken the U.S. market. They wanted it. They bought it. But the flip side of that is they had to take dollars. So it's an occupational hazard. If the dollar's going to drop from 80 to 40 on the USDX and they're going to lose half their money or half their buying power, that was a cost of doing business, China. And you should have expected that. So stop howling in the graveyard about all the losses you're taking and how much you're going to take. You knew what the price of getting into that market was. And, you know, you've got nobody to blame but yourselves. Both sides are wrong. The Chinese were stupid. They get taken in, and it's a con game to keep the American economy going, and a very expensive one for China. And they're going to learn that's the way it is. And they're going to lose half of what their money is. And if I were them, I would be out not only buying commodities, I would also be buying more gold as fast as possible.
Liz from California comes back in, and she's got a two-part question. First part's on gold. Second part is on silver. Mr. Chapman, there is a gold event that I see that is unavoidable. There's a chronic strain that is derived from the extreme disparities between the physical market, which is mired in a shortage, versus the paper market with this unlimited false supply. The tail appears to be wagging the dog, which brings forth my question on the gold level. Is it about to shoot forward? And part two of my question is, from listening to archives from your shows in 2007, where you were on Drew's show in December, you made a comment that silver would shoot up to around $20 to $25 and then retreat to the $10 to $15 range, and then in 2010 would possibly shoot up to somewhere around the $30 mark or slingshot even further. Do you still hold to those to that statement from 2 years ago?
I sure do, and I'm happy that I was fortunate enough to make those calls. And again, I'd like to congratulate the girls out there. They're just getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Right now, silver has broken out, and it will cause gold to break out as well. If you look at the technical charts, and I really shouldn't get into it, but I'm going to, the technical charts are telling us there's a thing called the reverse head and shoulders. Gold, silver, and the HUI are in those configurations. And this is the most powerful technical configuration that can happen to any market. And all three of them are in the same position. They're all ready to break out. Now, silver closed 15.16, up 30 cents today. Gold was 961.30, up 8.30. And I told you what the stocks did. Now, 450 was the breakout point on silver. Next stop is $17. It'll probably hit it early next week. That means gold will take on 970 and break through it. The next stop for silver is between $19 and $21 an ounce, and we'll call it in modern times. I'm a fossil because I was around when it was $45 and $50 an ounce. But anyway, and once it breaks the 1921 area, the next stop is probably $50. If that happens, gold will probably go to somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000. I mean, you're looking at the opportunity of a lifetime to preserve your wealth and could make an enormous amount of money. The leverage is enormous, not so much in the bullion, gold and silver bullion or gold and silver bullion coins. They're good. Don't get me wrong. The big money will be made in the leveraged items that are mint state, graded, numismatic coins in gold particularly, not in silver. And silver, I would stick to the bullion. And I love 90% silver bags because everybody knows what they are. And if you have to sell some of those coins in a pinch, they'll be easy to get rid of to exchange for something else. And in the gold shares, I mean, we're looking at Agnico Eagle on a close today, 58.96. It had a high of 83.5 a year ago. This stock could go to $500 a share. I mean, we get stocks that are selling here for $9 and $23. They could easily go over $100. We're talking about a lot of money. And I've been doing this for 50 years. I was the world's largest gold silver stockbroker for 28 years, and I owned my own firm for many years. So I am not without experience in this. I am probably one of the 5 experts in the world on this subject.
Mr. Chapman, this is from Lisa in Seattle. She says, Mr. Chapman, there's a shadow banking system out there behind the scenes. Is this real? That needs to be brought forth into the real world, and people need to understand that this shadow banking system is part of the real world. Do you count this shadow banking system in your estimates of what you foresee in the future?
I try to, but it's difficult, and the reason why is we don't know what they're doing. It's shrouded in secrecy. It's just like gold. I mean, the big amounts of gold that have been bought from governments over the past, particularly the last 10 years, but even before that, since 1988, those have been international bankers, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. I mean, these people have large hoards of gold. Don't think they don't. I mean, they may be instructing governments to sell it so they can buy it. I mean, our listeners can't go in and buy $3 billion worth of gold in a day, but they can. And don't forget they own banks and they just create money. I mean, look what just went on over the past 7 or 8 years in banking. You know, it's normal on the fractional banking system for a bank to lend out 8 to 10 times the $1 in deposit. So for each dollar, they lend out 8 or 10. These banks, especially the 19 legacy money center banks, were lending, and still are, 40, 50, and 60 times. These people went crazy. And that's why we have what we have right now, an economic and financial debacle that they can't solve, even if they wanted to. And that's why once you get your food in your filter and have your weapons, and get your coins, get gold and silver shares if you got the money to do so and you want to speculate, you've got to do it. If you don't, you're going to lose your assets. You may lose your life.